Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. My name's Ann Largent. I'm the Director of Solutions Engineering here at Anosic. We're going to learn how to pronounce that today. And really, we'd love for this session to be interactive. Ask questions in the chat. It's about making a dialogue and bridging the understanding of really AI-powered integration. And my background is 20 plus years as a basis admin solution architect. I come both from the SAP side of the house, integration side of the house, and am a new, a couple years new in the Salesforce and MuleSoft ecosystem. So a couple years there, not brand new, but not as much as SAP experience. Thanks again for your time and looking forward to a discussion today. Dave?
Thanks, Ann. Well, first off, my name is David Case. I work for Anosic, and I lead our team in iPaaS partnerships. And right now, we're extremely focused on our growing partnership with MuleSoft. I am a former MuleSoft alumni. I was part of MuleSoft before the Salesforce acquisition, and was one of the original directors hired to lead our customer success team. I've done work with Apicero in the United States before, in the early days when VJ was coming into the office. And I like to say that I have blue in my DNA. I think that the MuleSoft solution is definitely best of breed, the best API holistic lifecycle management application for APIs. And I have been in the MuleSoft ecosystem since I joined the company, and even after leaving, I still am an avid practitioner. Most recently, I've earned the designation of a MuleSoft mentor on my way to become a MuleSoft ambassador. And I really, really sincerely appreciate everyone's attendance today. And thank you for investing your time. If we looked at a little bit more about what Anosic is, it's actually a Greek, the name comes from the Greek language for unifying experience. So where we sit in that in the MuleSoft solution set is we provide a window into exclusively SAP data for any API and application built on the MuleSoft platform. Where the data goes, it can be virtual or it can be transferred via MuleSoft to any number of the 400 connectors out there. We are both an ISV, so a solution partner of both SAP, we're solution partners with MuleSoft, as we have a certified connector on Exchange available for download today that connects any API or MuleSoft flow to SAP data. We are a Salesforce partner and have extended the Salesforce solution into SAP as well. We're also a certified partner of SAP, and we also provide data into the ServiceNow ecosystem as well. We are implementation partners of any SI that MuleSoft does business with. We have over 150 implementations where SAP data is being presented, in most cases, to Salesforce. And then who uses us? Anybody with SAP. We have, if you were to look at MuleSoft's and Salesforce's verticals, we have customers in each vertical, from retail consumer goods to manufacturing to HLS to energy and utility companies on a global basis. The last time that we tracked it, we have over 500 million transactions happening on our system each and every day. And we hope to grow with companies like Apicero to make to really remove the complexity and the orchestration and some of the difficulties of SAP, so that we make SIs have the ability to develop applications faster and more efficiently. And when it comes down to AI specifically for this session, it becomes about trusted data. When we engage with a customer or partner, it really inside our DNA um, is to handle enterprise integration and and come at SAP from a different approach, similar to how everyone on this call has adopted a different way to create software applications by use of MuleSoft. The idea of an application network wasn't commonplace before like 2016. Then it became massive adoption, and then some of the largest companies in the world insist upon integrating their back office systems and systems of record only with MuleSoft. Our differentiation at Anosics is to give you the ability to really unify the most complex systems in the world and enable real-time access to SAP at scale. And this is where the MuleSoft and Anosics partnership really took off and really was something that MuleSoft took wholeheartedly. And our team worked effortlessly trying to figure out a better way to extend the value of the Anypoint platform and fill some significant gaps like real time at scale, figure out the complexities or simplify the complexities within variant configuration, which is complex pricing. And the end result is when you combine MuleSoft, the best of breed iPaaS solution in the marketplace, with Anosics extending into its reach into SAP in real time, we create seamless human experiences, and that's really important to us because our promise is to help our customers and our partners keep their promises to their customers. And if we do that and keep that front of mind, it really becomes an unmatched offering in the marketplace as the only iPaaS that can reach into SAP in real time at scale. And Anne will get a little bit more into the technical on this, as she's definitely the expert when it comes to integrating with SAP. But I just wanted to touch on that and give you some perspective as to why we put so much effort into this and the type of solution that it really and what the solution really means to our customers. When it comes specifically to AI, it's not going to be an option any longer for Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, or any company that really wants to survive in the next 3 to 5 years. Customers, whether they be suppliers or internal stakeholders or even end user customers, they want that Amazon-like experience. They want to have everything at their fingertips on any device, any platform. And this really sounds like MuleSoft's mission statement, right? Delivering any data anywhere to any device at any time. That Amazon experience, I can look back at any order I've placed in the last 11 years as an Amazon customer. I can look forward as to when is my paper towels and toilet paper going to be delivered next month. I haven't bought a bag of dog food for my dog Willis in a store in over 10 years because I know Amazon's going to deliver it on time when I want so that Willis has a meal each and every day. With executives in the C-suite, already a quarter of them have adopted strategies and use generative AI today. 40% of Fortune 500 already have incorporated into budgets for next year, and 75% of the total marketplace expect generative AI will disrupt their industry. Now, when you say disrupt an industry, those 75% of people are either going to be doing really, really well, or they'll already be out of business. Similar to MuleSoft, when you think about what MuleSoft did, it didn't really provide software development or the ability to create applications. We had that with SOA, and but what it did for companies is it gave innovation. It allowed them to go faster, and going faster was the difference that put Sears Roebuck Kmart, JCPenney, all those, Radio Shack, Pier One, all those companies out of business and into bankruptcy because they couldn't innovate fast enough. AI will be that same void and that same chasm that companies either cross and survive, or they choose to not do it and die. And then there's going to be the ones who meander around and figure out a way, or they act too late. But the innovators, the persons who react fastest in the marketplace, will be the ones that thrive when they adopt an official AI strategy. And when it comes to SAP, we think that we can provide, the MuleSoft ecosystem, and extend that value prop of the best of breed iPaaS to enable to reach into those companies who depend upon SAP to run their business. The world that we live in is really, really complex. And an outside consultant that we worked with put together the acronyms that we have. And there's an intensely educated and capable audience that we have here today. But SAP, to put it quite plainly, is hard. The table headings are written in German acronyms. The commands are German acronyms. If you don't know that data model, it's extremely difficult to integrate to. What Anosics will do for users or customers of Apicero and Apicero in general, and what we do for the marketplace, is we simplify it. Think about it. We put it into US English. We enable common sense commands. Your data weave transactions, when you map them into Studio, all of a sudden they're meaningful names, not Japanese or those commands that are really, really common to SAP practitioners and mean almost nothing to everybody else in the world. So the perfect match for an SAP run company is MuleSoft and Anosics at the core. And what we did is, if you think about MuleSoft is the platform, the building blocks to develop APIs and applications. With Anosics, it's complete integrations delivered as a service without the need to design, test, code, or that to have that tribal knowledge within your development team. And you don't have to become an SAP expert. You can just do what you do really well, and that's develop MuleSoft applications and APIs. So together, and this, when we set out on this mission to help MuleSoft, it was to fill gaps in their current solution set. And we worked with product management and some of the massive architects, like Alex Sherry and David Mancina, who head up they report to the office of the CTO at MuleSoft, and product management and product development in MuleSoft to assess how we could extend the value of MuleSoft. And when we think about AI, any AI engine is only as good as the data that it's fueled by. So if you're using data that is replicated out of SAP and parked into another system, it's already old. And that's the difference, and the way that we can help, really level up the functionality and the value to your customers that you serve. So when we look at trusted data, it's trusted because it's not a copy of a copy. It allows you to deliver intelligent human experiences. It allows you to innovate faster and streamline business processing without relying on copied data or data replication. We were working with a customer, large beverage customer, with MuleSoft, and it was an Azure cloud application that was using Databricks and some data caching. And this particular customer on the Azure stack was spending $1.5 to $2 million, depending upon volume, replicating data. And it's not necessary, but it was necessary before the Anosics and MuleSoft partnership. And what the partnership allowed them to do was trim out about $15 million of annual spend in Azure storage and Azure transactional costs, because they were parking that data out of SAP so that it could be consumed by 29 end user systems. By eliminating that data replication stack and that logic of and those batch jobs, with MuleSoft and the Enosix connector, we can reach directly into SAP when it's necessary and deliver that to any MuleSoft API application or any end user consuming application. And that allows us to really put trusted data direct from the source where it's needed and where it's required to fuel an AI engine. Another part of the Anypoint platform, a key value point, is this idea of reuse. And if you're building applications with the 3-tier architecture in mind, it's very essential for you to consider reuse as a cornerstone of value for your customers. That's their return on investment. It's the idea that Ross Mason, when he created the company, put forth as his mantra, that we want to take the donkey work out of software development. And by taking that mundane, low value coding out, like authentication, authorization, and error handling and logging and all that, the upstream, downstream dependencies out of the burden of software developers, that means that they can spend more time innovating. It's at the core DNA that MuleSoft was founded upon. And when you think about this, most companies, 78%, are on the previous version to SAP S/4HANA. So they're on a version called ECC. If you're running ECC and you're developing a code to integrate to SAP on ECC, you can just throw that away regardless of if you're using point-to-point code, or even if you're using an iPaaS like MuleSoft, because the whole data model and communication framework changes to HANA. With Enosix, because you'll learn from Anne a little bit later, more technical detail, and how the solution works and how we extend the value of MuleSoft, is we build upon this idea of reuse. And by reusing this framework that Enosix has enabled within MuleSoft, you don't have to do those integrations again. So your customer can innovate today, accelerate value to their customers, have them keep their promises, and then seamlessly change a couple IP addresses, a couple permissions, whitelist an IP, and magically, or not magically, just seamlessly integrate and port that integration over to HANA with very little effort and a little bit of regression testing. That's a huge value that MuleSoft saw in our partnership, and what we can do and how we can extend the value to the MuleSoft ecosystem. And I guess take a step a little bit backwards. When we really look for that transformational, that value add customer experience and that human experience, it's all about improving the engagement to your customers, getting to know your customers, we're and increasing value and getting their loyalty. I hear somebody coming off mute. Is there a question?
That was me. I think that was me.
Oh, sorry.
Is there a question though?
Let me check the chat real quick.
I'm looking. I don't see any.
I don't see any other. I just heard.
No question yet.
Okay. So I guess I've been talking for a while. Yeah. With that, that's the setup as far as what Enosix does and how we work with MuleSoft. And this idea of AI really is about, even ChatGPT 3 was accessing data no newer than 2021. I guess ChatGPT 4 will access that plus the last 2 years. But if you're developing an application and you really want your AI engine to be fueled and give that best human experience back to your customers, you need to reach into the core system that drives your business. And in a manufacturer or a pharmaceutical company or an energy company that depends upon SAP, that's the one system you need to get access to. And in generative AI, where you're looking at massive amounts of data, it might be acceptable to look at semi-real-time data. When it comes to just-in-time data like chatbots, and to improve that customer experience in like a commerce application or within the supply chains, or to get that last minute system to check, you're going to need real-time data. And the difference between what MuleSoft offers with Anosics and what MuleSoft can do with data replication is amazingly different because of that real-time data at scale. We can, with Anosics, MuleSoft can reach into SAP and create a quote for 5,000 line items in real time, and then use all those rules that are existing in SAP without the need to recode them. And Anne can touch more on this. And actually, I'll transition to Anne right now, so that she can kind of go on this point and then take you through a journey about this, et cetera. Does that sound like a good time to transition, Anne?
Yeah, sounds great.
Would you
Any
like
questions?
Would you like me to keep driving the slides and you just yell at me?
Sure, that's fine. I hope I'm not yelling at you, but yes, that's fine. So, great insights, Dave, as always, right? And this session is about transformational AI and how to support and how that supports really transform customer experience. And in the first bullet point, we were talking last week, a few of my colleagues and I, and somebody came up with HX. And you might say, well, what's HX, right? All right. Well, customer experience, of course, we mean internal and external customers. But really, human experience is, I think, a more encapsulating word and a more globally advantageous statement. So human X, HX, is really what we're trying to deliver with a transformed CX, but I think it's an HX application. And what does that mean? That means exceptional engagement. And from not only your partners and your distributors that may come into a nice portal that you have with MuleSoft powered by SAP Data that we're going to talk about. We're going to start at the bottom of the mountain here in just a second, but I want to talk about this human experience first. The exceptional engagement is not only our customers who come in and need our services and our products and our information for them to deliver to their customers, our products and our services, but it's also internal satisfaction, your service teams, loyalty, both brand loyalty for your external customers and your internal customers, right? We all know the job market is super challenging right now. So that's where I and we think here at Anosics about human experience, not just customer experience, because we want our folks in the warehouses and in the plants and our customer service specialists, right? They're the lifeblood of our organizations. And so we want to create exceptional engagement, satisfaction, loyalty across human experiences, right? No matter where you're coming in to interact in our systems of engagement. And that starts at the bottom with SAP, right? Our core system of integration is always SAP at this point in time. And SAP is a cornerstone of all these verticals we're talking about. And I would assume everybody here on the call, maybe not everybody, and that's okay. You might have another core system of record, but for SAP specifically, it is going to stay there for ECC. And as you go to S/4HANA, folks are migrating from the ECC, which is the older versions Dave was talking about, to the newer version. It's happening now. And they need that system because it is the core system of record for them. There's master data, years and years of master data. They might port some of it over to S/4HANA. That's for another session. Transactional data is their finance. It's their core, their financial system, and supply chain management. There's a key component there that happens in SAP about warehouse, enterprise asset management, automation, all of those managing the supply chain from the plant where it's made all the way out to delivery to the customer in the end. So those end-to-end systems are why SAP is going to remain that core system of engagement in the back end and the core system of record. And so to get to a human experience where that exceptional engagement is going to live, we need that trusted data. And when we say trusted data, it really means real-time virtualized SAP data at scale. Okay, and I'm going to talk about the next couple slides what real-time really means, because people say that term pretty loosely. What's real-time? Does real-time mean that it was batched over 5 minutes ago? No, not in the agnostics world. And so when we want to deliver exceptional engagement, what happens there is when they have that trusted data in that engagement layer, again, whether it's the service agent at your company and they can look and have the actual tracking number, in their screen, at their screen pop when that happens, or whether it's your partner or distributor logging into your portal and they can look at their invoices in real time and know when they're going to get paid out. That's a real-time SAP information that we need, and that's trusted data. And that builds the journey climbing the mountain to transformational HX. And you need system of engagements to enable that, right? So nobody's necessarily logging into SAP for that back end. So you need MuleSoft API applications to enable that trusted data to power up your customer 360 portals, your CRM, Salesforce, of course, and all the different clouds that Salesforce provides. And we're going to deep dive into that in just a minute. But we need that trusted data into those systems of engagement to build on that. And all these components, the SAP core, the trusted data in the middle, where we're delivering real-time SAP data at scale, we need that system of engagement then to deliver that information to those front-end systems of engagement. And then you can utilize that generative AI and that trusted AI to automate, really power up that personalization, and use Einstein GPT, for example, to really make it feel like, wow, this is my customer experience, my humanized experience. They get me. They get what I'm buying. They get that I am a repeat customer and that I like these features and that I reorder them all the time. And I want that personalization. And when we talk about our business friends out there for their human experience, they want to know that they have their SAP customer specific pricing, right? They're going to know what they get for your products on your website. They're going to know what what products are available in their region, and maybe it's available in the DACH region, but it's not in US. They're going to know all that, right? They have a wide knowledge of your business, and so we want to have that personalization, and then that builds that trusted data layer, and then provides that transformational human experience that drives that engagement, satisfaction, loyalty. And to David's point earlier about, people are going to be left behind. This is how you don't get left behind. This is how you enable and innovate. And, it's not about being bleeding edge per se, right? This is happening right now, right? 75% of the C-suite are saying that this is going to transform our industries in 3 years, and they're correct there. So we want to make sure that we have the building blocks to enable that so we're not left behind. And we're going to talk about how we do that in the next slides. Dave, anything else you wanted to add here? All right.
No, I'm going to flip. And there was a question that I was DM'd on
Okay.
as well as a demo. So I pivoted and said that maybe at the end, if we have a little time, we can show our demo SAP to Salesforce. Not to surprise you, Ann, but I've done it before. I'll do it again. Let's see if we can tee that up for at the end of the presentation.
I sure can. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Of course. I'm always ready, right? So, and really no other iPaaS can deliver SAP in real time. Like I mentioned and alluded to, everybody says they can, but it's really only MuleSoft with Agnostics. And we're the only ones that can and will deliver in real time. And what does real time mean in the function? We're going to talk about the tech in just a second, but the functionality, what that delivers for that human engagement and that human experience is that seamless experience, so that everybody who's looking at the information and trying to review it, whether it's on their phone or on a portal or wherever they're at or answering on a headset, they're going to have the same experience and they're going to have the same view of the real-time data. So it's never behind, it's never late. If it's ever behind, if we're batching over data from the source, it's never accurate, right? The second it leaves SAP, it's outdated. I don't know. I can get a text from my delivery system for Chewy, maybe not Amazon for my dog food, and you know, it's literally, it's getting shipped out and now it's at my door and it's been delivered and I have a picture, right? So the second we settle for batch data, it's not real time and we're not delivering that seamless experience. And of course, optimize performance. We have to enable that. And that's what MuleSoft and Enosix. We have optimization in both the systems of engagement in the front end and especially on the SAP backend, technically, that we'll talk about. But it has to be optimized for performance at scale. And we want that user experience to be flexible. One customer might want the UX to be, you know, this way, and another customer wants it their other way. But they want it to be branded correctly. You want it to be flexible. You want to be able to pivot if your marketing messages changes, and it sure does, right? We see all those companies, including Enosix, our messaging is improving every day. We want to be able to have that flexible design in UX. And to the fast time to market, I'm going to jump over to the right-hand side. Our IT teams are also part of our human experience, right? We need them to be able to be agile. We want low code development. Everybody says low code. We actually deliver it. We have optimized objects that I'll talk about that we can extend and enhance in SAP. So we don't have to build everything ourselves from scratch or from 60%. And we need to be scalable. We need it to be low risk, not just implementation risk, but we need it to always provide that data. If you're having to manage something in the middle, there's a lot of administration and management of error logs and watching, you know, did data fail? We de-risk your implementations and we de-risk your live interaction, your engagement, your integrations with our solution with MuleSoft and Enosix. And we do 98% of it with zero data replication. Okay, so we'll explain the differentiators and the nuances there, but really data replication is not the answer. You need that real-time data to power up those human experiences. All right, is there a question? All right, so, Diego is leading right now a huge financial transformation program based on SAP and MuleSoft. Awesome, Diego. Do you have any comments on this? Like, is what your goals might be? I'm not sure, Pankaj, if we can take him off mute, or if you'd like to even chime on. But we'd love to hear.
Sure.
Folks want to hear what folks are doing. Yeah.
I'm giving the mic access.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not for now.
Yeah.
Well, we would make, you know, I'll make an assumption here, right? Because you said, Diego, finance transformation, right? You're actually looking at this, you know, as you speak, and that transformation will deliver that seamless experience. I would guess quicker month-end close is a financial transformation, probably access to the real-time data. Those type of things are probably big drivers for you. All right, Dave, anything else you want to add here?
No.
Okay. I think we're back to you.
Do you mind if I take this, Ann? Thank you.
Yeah,
so,
go ahead.
So one of the most common questions that I got from some of the team at Epicero when I met up at Dreamforce was, "Hey, there's a real-time there's an SAP connector already for MuleSoft. Why do we need another one?" Enosix worked with MuleSoft to develop one because there were some gaps. One, the idea of advanced variant configuration and variant configuration. So that's a big gap for most customers because that module is extremely complex in SAP, and it's extremely complex on the integration side. The reason it's so daunting is to integrate to it, people use data replication, and frankly, it doesn't work. You know, we've had many customers try to do this, like no less than 30. And when you try to replicate that module, you're copying, you know, thousands and thousands of rows of data, and pricing needs to be accurate each and every time. And it needs to be accurate within the context of a quote. Quantity discounts, taxes, currency conversion, SAP data mostly is stored as binaries. There's tons of constraints in this that work against you as technology practitioners. So when we think about the Enosix connector, it's not a connector. It's a connector. It's a 50 pre-built APIs that are deployed within SAP, and it's a total rewrite of the communication framework that every other iPaaS has to use. And when you bake all this together, it becomes a comprehensive solution for practitioners like Apicero and Apicero's customers to really bring your integration strategy to the next level. And that next level of integration is required when doing these AI engines, so that they get the most accurate and most real data inside those applications from SAP. So I just kind of want to make that distinction because, and by the way, all of this is on MuleSoft.exchange.com. It's inside if you go down inside the data or inside the tech specs, it really is fully documented. We have an API spec, and the inside the API spec is the exact code that you could use to generate APIs for MuleSoft. And there's also a link to a free trial. The free trial will enable a developer to download our connector, which is free, but it only connects to the Nanostics framework that needs to be deployed within SAP. So it's really hard to test drive it, if you will. But with this, this ability to test drive or to download the free trial, you'll get access to our instance of SAP with the framework installed, and you'll be able to complete get functions and search functions and invoke real-time transactions at scale against an SAP system. And this was a key differentiator when we went to land a customer with MuleSoft at JSW Steel in India. It's a $22 billion steel company is trusting MuleSoft plus Nanostics to grab data that they frankly tried to do with Boomi and another iPaaS solution, and they failed. Then they reached out to PwC, and PwC contacted Salesforce, who contacted MuleSoft, and with our partnership, we were able to bring that solution live and to enable real-time data out of SAP to front-end applications like Salesforce. So a little bit of story, a little bit of commercial, but that's the type of that's the beginning of the why it's different from other connectors. And Anne can take us a little bit deeper into the tech as to what we're doing differently.
Hi, I'm Diego. I was chatting before about this thing. Nice to meet you guys. It was a pleasure to meet you. I'm enterprise architect in a very huge, important cruise company, and we started, and I'm playing the role of leading the integration part of this huge transformation program. And we started very few weeks ago, few months ago, on designing and developing integration based on MuleSoft and the original SAP connector. I was not aware existence of this N06 SAP connector, and I'm happy to listen and understand, but I'm not a SAP expert at all. We already trying to tackle some bad design solution and to unify the integration approaches of this huge program, because I discovered that the vendor that is supporting for implementing SAP, they designed interfaces, the interfaces based on IDOC, BAPI, API. It is a mess. It's a very mess, and it's a really mess. I'm not. We are learning now this kind of technology. I'm not an expert on SAP.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work on API, HTTPS, and message systems like Kafka or MQ. But that's it. I'm happy to listen and understand your product. Thanks, Edo.
Great. Thanks, Diego, for sharing. We're going to get into that actually here in just a second. Just checking on, can we do a time check? How are we doing there?
Pankaj, how much time do we have in the session?
Yeah, so David, like mostly we have 1 hour 30 minutes, so I think we have 40
Okay,
minutes to go. Yeah.
great.
So we're about midpoint, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Actually, probably we're approaching the
A little
hour, right?
less.
Okay.
Yep, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure we had more than 10 minutes. That's all. All right. So at a high level architecture, and Diego, we're going to talk at a high level in the next slide about what you're asking about. And you're right. Not everybody has heard of Anosics. And you're right. You use OData, IDOCS, that's traditional SAP APIs, and that's what everybody has to work with, and that's what everybody uses. And that's why Anosics was built to enable the real-time data from SAP to these front ends. And so in this graphic, for example, it really looks like traditional middleware. And we're gonna talk about what the value is here, and then we're gonna talk about why it is different, maybe not on the first view, but why it is because of what the MuleSoft Anosics connector gives to MuleSoft differently than SAP APIs, standard APIs deliver here. So when we look at the architecture, again, the core is always going to be that real-time trusted data. And just like I talked about, right, with the manufacturing, retail, HLS, and pharmaceutical, many other consumers, but these are common ones that we talk about and work with all the time. Those consumers rely on that trusted data, and they expect that seamless experience and that information in real time. And so what we have here, MuleSoft in the middle, right, is the API layer, the robust, all the feature functionality that MuleSoft gives you, all the management, all the data coming from external sources, not just Salesforce, not ServiceNow, databases. You know, we have lots of systems, right? We don't just have SAP and Salesforce in our environments. We have multiple systems all over the place. And then Anosics provides the SAP information to those Anosics to the MuleSoft connectors, MuleSoft connectors. And we do it in a powerful way in that real-time piece that I'll talk about on the architectural level that makes it differentiator for the MuleSoft connector. But really the value here is that reuse that we talked about when you need SAP data to any of those front-end systems for whatever consumers, internal customers, external customers, different verticals, data from other sources. MuleSoft provides that overarching enterprise-wide strategy for that. And then we're going to talk about how we deliver the SAP portion of that architecture. Dave, anything to add here? And we can move on. All right, this is what I hope everybody's been looking forward to. So that real-time data virtualization, the way Anosics does it uniquely, without OData, Diego, without IDOCS, is that we have pre-built SAP in our own Anosics namespace objects in SAP that understand the SAP data model. And these rapid integration objects, we call them RIOs for short, live at the application layer. And we do about 5-10 different things uniquely in this space. And I have a diagram next, but really what we're doing is we're making a call, and MuleSoft is making that API call to the Anosics APIs to retrieve, virtualize, and transact in the application layer from SAP live for 98% of our data integration. We absolutely can sync data for things like master data, reporting, and analytics, but anybody can kind of do that. The real value here is that real-time piece of it. So the way you might want to think about it is that when I'm using the MuleSoft connector for, we have the Salesforce clouds there, and that's where I'm going to show the demo in a moment. That's the example we're going to show. I'm actually calling the APIs back to SAP via MuleSoft and Anosics to view the information live from SAP. And we do that through a stateless synchronous web service call. So where's that? Remember we talked about the real-time data at scale? That's where that comes in, is because of the architecture and the communication framework that we've purposefully built to enable highly scalable rendering of the data, virtualization, and then low impact on SAP. That's really important too, right? We can't have all these processes eating up dialogue and batch processes in the back end, clouding up message queues in the back end in SAP, administration in the middle, all that stuff. We want that real-time MuleSoft connector to read the information from the system of record, SAP, to that front-end system. And you can see the reuse there. We're going to talk about Salesforce, but the reuse, you can see all the icons on the right, and that's right. MuleSoft can connect to our objects, our pre-built rapid integration objects, and deliver that data. So we have virtualization of the information and also transactional capabilities. So that's really key. If I use a commerce example, a B2B example, you know, when you go to that cart checkout and you put items in the cart, you want your SAP customer specific pricing. We're transacting at the application layer again through our framework and allowing that commerce transaction to behave and order simulate exactly like it's in SAP, but it's not. It's in a commerce front end, right? With that nice branding and that user experience that really really powers up and makes people feel like, oh, this is, you know, the brand and the products that I love. And they have none the wiser that information's coming from SAP, but it's accurate. And then they become, oh, wait a minute, that invoice is always paid when I go look at it on my portal. That pricing is always right. Every time I drop that item into the cart, and if I pick 20 widgets instead of, you know, just 5, my pricing's there and it's always accurate. Wow, I love this website. I keep going to it because it's always right and it's always trusted. And that builds that robustness. And then when we power it with AI for that personalization, that really, you know, helps you become leading edge. Okay. Dave, anything you want me to add here that I missed here? That's really the key components there of our architecture. What did I miss, Dave?
No, I mean, I would just say from a MuleSoft POV that at least the customers that we're talking about or talking to about the solution, and when I interface with MuleSoft architects and AEs, it's really about how do I enable my customer to get data out of SAP, which is a system that really was never meant for modern cloud extensions, and MuleSoft is the glue between most systems. But this is like that last step that people really need, and that's why MuleSoft AEs contact us, because it's work that's not desirable and not innovative. And it really is the you know, as I talked with some of the integration leads at Epicero and Dreamforce, this is the work that nobody really wants to do because it's hard. Right. It's heavy lifting, and it's going to be the reason why if SAP is in your integration project, that's going to be this thing that you can't deliver on time. That's going to delay the project and make people look bad. So if you could productize this and not have to deal with it and not lean on those SAP experts and just have it magically happen, that's why MuleSoft likes us, because it allows them to innovate and to get to more systems and to drive adoption on their platform versus wait for somebody to architect the perfect SAP integration. That's really the secret sauce. And by the way, I dropped a couple links in the chat while Ann was talking that backs up what we talked about. It's a link to resources and on a link to the connector where you can actually look at the API specification. And if you have any difficulty at the beginning of the chat, I also dropped my email address that I can help anyone on the call at any time. Just please reach out, and I can have somebody like an Ann or like the person who developed our connector. We can have a session if you have any specific questions. So I'd like to kind of continue on and maybe give them a look under the covers, Ann.
Yep, I think it's time to do that. You ready?
Okay, then I will stop presenting and allow
you. I need screen sharing access.
I just terminated mine.
Oh, now there we go. Great.
Okay.
Perfect.
Now you should have.
All right. Just give me a minute and make sure I've got the right screen up. All right.
I know everybody's looking at this like, wow, this is real. And we've all been here before, right?
All right, great. So when we talk about real-time powering up that human experience, I'm going to give an example here in Salesforce. And what I want you to understand is that through any process that's happening, right? Commerce, customer service, sales, quoting, any of those processes, field service, right? They need visibility into their work orders, for example. Any process in this system of engagement layer needs SAP data, but not fully, right? We don't want to duplicate the processes we're doing in SAP in the front end system of engagement. That would be a waste of time. Why do that two places? But SAP has that powerful pricing and that powerful supply chain management and the order fulfillment. And so we need to power up those engagement processes with SAP data. So I call it layering in SAP information along a process. So we're going to start at the account screen here in Salesforce, and I'm layering in things like SAP customer details, SAP credit information. I've got an advanced sales document search. So if somebody calls up and says, hey, I want to know all the, I've got an order. I don't know what the order number is, but I want to look up what material are you looking for? And let's just do a quick date range. Let's do 2020 to today, and I want to find all the orders for Ohana Incorporated for this product, or maybe they have a purchase order number. They can do a quick search, and we're going to render or virtualize the data and get a result set here live out of SAP. And I'll talk about this here in a second. We've got information layering in the customer partner information out of SAP. So the sold to parties, all the ship tos. And this isn't stored in Salesforce or in the front end. It can be, but we want to connect the data, not collect the data just to have it stored in one place. Why do you have to store data? Because you don't have real-time integration. If you have real-time integration, you don't have to store this stuff. You can just look into SAP via the Salesforce UI and have that at your fingertips when you need it. For specifically, more importantly, dynamic things like your transactions, your orders, deliveries, invoices, quotes, financial information, Diego, contracts. Here's a filter of just service and maintenance contracts. Storing this information really isn't beneficial in any way, except for reporting analytics, orders to actuals, sure. But you don't need all the information that's in a typical SAP order for analytics or to know orders to actuals. But what your teams do need is they need visibility into all the information out of SAP Live into their user experience. So for example, if I look at this order 16851, I see the sales document parties. I see what the status of the order is. I can look into the item details. And remember, we're not storing this information in Salesforce. This is a window into VA03 for those SAP folks on the team. And the APIs that MuleSoft is calling talk to SAP to deliver this type of view of the information. And you'll see it's really fast, right? And that's because of the optimization in our communication framework that MuleSoft is using to talk and communicate with SAP. So that's a key component there. And so,
and can I interrupt just a minute just for us, for the pure MuleSoft practitioners here?
Absolutely.
What Anne is showing is metadata presented inside Salesforce GUI. That data is flowing through our MuleSoft connector into the Salesforce gateway. So MuleSoft is acting kind of as a pass-through proxy, okay? And then the Salesforce gateway is then pushing that data into Salesforce Lightning components and Apex code inside any of the clouds. Those cloud components are pre-built by us, thus productizing the end-to-end solution. There's nothing prohibiting a MuleSoft programmer from taking that raw code, and I do have this videotaped. I wasn't prepared to put Ann on the spot, and by no means am I a MuleSoft programmer, but what I can tell you is that data, once it's surfaced to the connector, a talented audience like yourself can push that data into any application or pass it to any other consuming API. I just want to make that clear so that I know that you're seeing Salesforce magic here, but that's just an easy way for us to show the data in its native format as to how a customer or customer service person, a salesperson, a person within a corporation might use this data, or a field tech in Service Cloud, a healthcare practitioner in Health Cloud, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I did want to, and actually, Ann, you do have a question in the chat. And I'll close the question, then I'll let you continue on. But it says, is Mule consuming OData or BAPIs? Is the question. Can you talk a little bit about that? And or is it consuming Enosix BAPIs and APIs? So if you can talk a little bit about that and then take over. I didn't want to interrupt, but I think it's important to make that distinction.
Oh yeah. No, I saw Ugander's question, and it's a great question, right? And that's right, because all we have to use typically is OData and BAPIs. Now, Enosix has our own BAPIs and BADIs that we utilize. That when we talked about those pre-built RIOs, we also have API BAPIs and BADIs in SAP. So when you install Enosix in SAP, it's in our own namespace at the application layer. So it's a Saint install package. And that communication framework we talk about, not only do we have those objects that understand the data model, we also have our own BADIs and BAPIs that call the information. And that's when I mentioned, and maybe I didn't clarify enough, that it's going through that stateless web service call. And then we did, and I know I didn't mention this, so thanks for the heads up here. It's our custom APIs, yep, Ugander, and Ugandahar probably is what it is. And we do XML into JSON. It translates into Apex, into Salesforce specifically that Mule consumes, but Mule connector is going to grab the XML, right? So lightweight, no OData, no iDocs, and we're just retrieving the data. Remember that optimization, that's one of the key things. We're just retrieving the data that we need to see in that real-time fashion. Okay. All right, I'm going to finish up the demo real quick and just do two pieces here. It's going to be quick. So remember when we looked at the sales item details, I drilled into here. We can also drill into the SAP doc flow. So I just have standard order delivery. You might have credit memos, you might have returns, accounting documents. We're going to show all that out of SAP. And the important part here is because we're not batching this over, this tracking number is real, as is the status of when this is going to be delivered and what the order, what the route is, what the priority is. This is a live call back to SAP, optimized, remember. And not only is it a live call, the important key piece is that it's always correct with the backend. You don't want to get a tracking number and say, what's the status? It's en route and it's at my doorstep, right? Or at the warehouse. You're like, wait a minute, that's not right. I don't trust that data. It's already here. Why does it say that it's in transit, right? Not the same seamless experience we're looking at. So notice this tracking number right here. I'm going to go change it in SAP. And remember, we're talking about human experiences across any process, any view of the information. So while I may be an internal user on any Salesforce cloud, and I need to see this information so I can answer my customer's question, hey, what's my tracking number? What's the status of my order? We also want to give that view of the same information to your portal users, your distributors, your partners, your customers. So if we go to a branded site here in a commerce portal and we log in as Lauren here, I've already logged in just to save some time here on the demo. She also has that same view of the data. And so remember, it was that 15841, 16851. When she goes over here, she has the same view of this information, the 16851 here. She's going to look at it, and in this, she's going to have that same view of the information. So she's going to be able to go look at that delivery. And here's where I hope I picked the right one. That's right. But what does real time really look like? All right, bear with me. We're going to go over to SAP real quick. Okay, here's the delivery, the same 606 that I have. I'm going to change the tracking number, right? We're going to have some fun here today. Hello, MuleSoft meetups. I'm going to save it and so we can imagine this has been, the status of this order has been, says delivered. I'm just going to do a quick refresh and go right into that delivery. There's no batch job happening here. And now it's going to say, hello, MuleSoft meetups. So that's why real time matters, right? It's going to say delivered when it's delivered. The tracking number is always right. The delivery item details are right. The schedule lines are right. The order is correct. The invoice information is right. It's all there for that live, real-time, seamless experience. Dave, anything else you want me to show? It's really the story we're trying to tell here.
Well, first off, thanks for thanks for allowing me to put you on the spot and walk us through a couple things. And again, it's interesting to see it from a Salesforce GUI perspective, but the power really is that we're leaving the data where it belongs inside SAP and virtualizing it. And secondly, all the business rules and logic that are built in SAP stay in SAP and allow you a lighter lift and faster ability to deliver for your customers and keep your promises to them. I dumped in 2 other links that are in our presentation, and if anyone wants the presentation, they can reach out to me personally or Ann. I put my email address in the chat, and I guess we're at a point where let me look to see 1 time and 2. If you want, I think there's value in going to slide 14 and then just ending on 15, because 14 is all the technical stuff that we bake into the solution.
Yep.
That any other iPaaS player is going to fall victim to, because frankly, that's the way SAP wants you to integrate space SAP, and you're going to be held to those constraints. So if you can bring us home on 14 and maybe touch on a couple bullets that you feel are, as an SAP practitioner, are really, really difficult, and without that depth of knowledge and the things that we solve for. And then 15 is a simple, like, if you remember these 5 things or 3 things, this is what the session was about. And then we just give a pause for any open up the mic.
Yep. And one real quick thing before I get into this piece, while you're reading all the bullet points here, is sure, I showed a Salesforce UI. The UI is not the powerful piece of this presentation, right? The ability to talk to SAP, utilizing MuleSoft to provide that real-time information. That's the takeaway here, right? Is that you can use MuleSoft, talk to SAP for all these different functional capabilities, viewing, transacting, seeing, blah, 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 whatever you want to do in an optimized way. And that's the important part. The UI, you guys know how to build UIs. That's fine. It's great. You can use whatever you want there in the front end. But the point is that, and it goes actually to this slide, didn't plan it that way, but it kind of works out, is guess what? No fault of our own. SAP gives us APIs, all of us, right? And they have for, goodness gracious, I've been doing SAP integration for 23 years, almost 24. And we always have to use OData, iDocs, the APIs that we get. We always have to have something in the middle to translate that SAP information. And 9 times out of 10, we have to rebuild the logic in some fashion in that front end. And so we need that translation layer in the middle. And that's just the way that's just what we all have to work with. It's nobody's fault. That's all we've had in our tool belt for a while now. And that's why Anosics was built, purpose-built and optimized for SAP. When we talk about those optimized objects, we have paging optimization. You saw that result set that I gave for that material and that document search. That was super fast, right? The paging optimization comes because of that logic we have on the back-end object. It also happens because we do a web service call and it's stateless and it's synchronous. all of the above, and we do XML and not iDocs. All of those pieces are the optimized components in the back end. We have the data type conversion in our objects that we install in SAP, the Anosics namespace objects. We understand the binary data types. We understand the raw data, right? SAP does all those conversions up in the transparent pool and cluster tables, right? We understand that. We've encapsulated that logic in our objects. And to continue on, right, using the binary data. It's not supported out of the box. You have to understand it and code against it and deliver it. Now, SAP has more APIs for S/4HANA, right? But so many of us are still on ECC and will be for many years now. So we also, want to make sure that we're planning, and the business can't wait for integration. So we have to really build some of these real-time integrations, even with our existing ECC implementation. So our RIOs, those optimized objects, are designed to use the binary data. You think about an order object. How many tables is it hitting? It's hitting the Mara table. It's hitting the customer table. It's hitting the pricing table. All those, pieces of the puzzle, we have those encapsulated in those objects. We can do the joins. We can do the SQL calls. We can don't have row and query condition limits. And then we leverage the session management, the transactional logic. I was talking with a customer the other day, and they're trying to figure out how to create an order off a quote in the front end. And they're struggling because they can ship. So say they have 5 schedule lines on that order on the quote, and then they want to create an order, and they can ship those out different times, right? They can say this one comes, this one's ready tomorrow, this one's ready in 2 weeks, this one's ready. SAP can handle that, right? We know that. The front end can't. And so they're trying to build that logic for each line item in their quote create to account for those different shipping pieces once they become an order. Well, that's really hard to do. But if you leverage it from SAP that already does that, boy, that solves that problem. We can just reach into SAP. It knows how to do that off the quote create and the order create. And then I don't have to build it in the front end. So we're leveraging that session management and transactional logic. That's how we de-risk, do faster implementations, and really optimize that integration for MuleSoft and those connectors. All right.
Final thoughts. So
Go
really,
for it.
This is about adding that rocket fuel, going to the pre-acquisition MuleSoft. Our CEO always used to say, well, one, recruiting is our number one job. Recruit good humans, and I appreciate every good human on this call today. Adding real time to your API strategy should not be an option. The combination between MuleSoft and Anosics is really a deadly combination, as far as it allows you to leverage build expertly designed, master crafted kind of solutions for SAP without even thinking about SAP. The data spec will be complete and comprehensive and fully documented all the way, allowing you to give a seamless human experience. So I pasted all the resources that were on our resource slide in this deck. If you'd like a copy of it, please reach out to me, and I will stop talking and let anyone who wants to discuss a use case or ask for clarity on anything. All questions are welcome, and I really encourage, if you have anything front of mind, to throw it out there. If you feel a little bit timid or shy, and want to talk to Ann or myself directly, reach out. We can definitely facilitate that conversation. And of course, Rohit, or if there's anything else that any moderator wants to add, that's the conclusion of our presentation today. There's no questions.
And Diego, we'd love to correspond or chat about, what your guys are just interested, just even on a SAP, person and level. So.
Yeah, thanks, Anne, for the presentation. I was not aware of this SAP connector.
Yeah, the project with a team that based on the start on the original sub connector. I was saying this moment, unfortunately, we have a very critical deadlines for releasing this project. So it could be a little bit harder now to start some discussion about it. But anyway, it seems very interesting. But I'm sorry because probably you already did it, but I missed the first part of the meeting. But when if you have to convince someone to buy this connector instead of the standard sub connectors, that's like what are the three top points that you can touch for telling, hey, you have to buy this, not don't you have to buy the other premium sub connector.
So so if I can restate your question,
Yeah.
and then add a point of clarity, Diego. One, what would be three pivotal concern or bullets or reasons that you would recommend the Anosic plus MuleSoft connector versus using MuleSoft as the iPaaS with the legacy connector? Is that your question?
No, I'm sorry. What are the top three reasons for choosing this connector as an ASICS connector instead of the standard sub connector that we can buy through MuleSoft market for many
Okay.
platforms? What
So
are the top three
Versus
reasons?
the MuleSoft SAP connector, Dave.
Yeah.
got it. So first off, our connector is free. So
Really?
it is free. Now nothing's ever free, right? The kicker is with the Anosic solution with MuleSoft, you're getting not an accelerator pack. Well, first off, the legacy connector has no accelerator pack. It's only an accelerator pack offered in MuleSoft in S/4HANA. So if you're messing with an ECC, you're building stuff from the ground up.
Mhm.
With the Anosic connector, it comes with 50 pre-built APIs that you deploy inside SAP that you don't have to think about, that are fully documented and ready for consumption inside a Mule API or application. So that's a big
Mhm.
differentiator. Two, on slide 14, that the API SAP versus Elastic solution, you're not constrained by any of the SAP BAPIs or the communication framework with inside SAP. Queries are limited, logic is limited, concurrent connections, session management, all that stuff that you have to consider and be pretty proficient inside SAP to pull off an integration in the first place. We normalize that and allow you to simplify your project.